right, welcome to Sidebar, THL's new show, hosted by myself, Reverb, and YoDaddy. So, in today's show, what we are going to do is we're going to be looking at some teams, some players, give some spicy hot takes on who we think are going to make playoffs, and go from there. First of all, welcome Reverb, the master of the reverse sweep. How you
That
doing?
is me. I'm doing fantastic. I'm happy to be here. That is my key ability. If I'm on your team and I type in chat that I have won the first game of the match, I am going to lose it. I must start 0-2, otherwise I will not win.
Awesome. And I know from our pro season a couple of years ago, if you did go on two, you won every single time.
Exactly. I think I had like 4 wins for the season, and all of them were reverse sweeps. I did not honestly win a single proper series in which I just started well and then just won all 3 games nice and quick. I had to lose the first two.
Perfect. Okay, and we also have YoDaddy, the pro MVP from the season before last, and sometimes wild player. How you
Hello,
doing?
hello. Yeah, started out wild only, then learned how to tie my shoelaces, and now trying out standard. Yeah,
Awesome.
glad to be here.
Welcome. All right, so we're going to jump straight in and cover off the series. So the first series we're going to be looking at is Hero Series. All right, so Hero Series this season, we've got 10 teams across two conferences. Last season we had 12 teams. So we've dropped two teams from last season. We've also reduced the number of playoff teams. So instead of 6 teams making playoffs out of 12, we've got 4 out of 10. So no more wild cards, no more teams creeping in to playoffs and stealing the championship from underneath the good teams' noses. So we've got a couple of teams that are not returning from last season, quite a few captains not returning, but most of those teams have been redistributed into other teams. It's only really the Colt where most of that team hasn't returned. Did you want to run us through Purple Conference, Reverb?
I am more than happy to. Purple Conference, looking fairly solid. If you've checked out the conferences, you'll notice there is one powerhouse everyone's talking about. Diamond's team, Let Them Cook, has taken 5 players straight from those teams not returning. Super Chicken, Neji Boston, Corridon, Tab, and Riceception all on there. It's looking fairly solid, but all the other teams look well stacked to play against them. F12 Black have returned, swapped out a few players. Masher himself is on that team along with Copper and Seth now. Robobson and Totino's Pizza are returning though. Department of League Adwin Astration decided to bring on Arhat and Dragon Rider. Looks fairly solid over there. Always Pack and Mana have simply just swapped out Vino for Chewy. And a team with 5 most all playing hero for this season, didn't play last season. Any primers has Turtle, Wild Rose, Rockdew, Tempest, and Mr. Catherine. I believe I said that one right. I'm not too sure. Uh, a collegiate player team. Most of them are from high school. Some of them are Turtle's friends as well. Looks fairly good. Fairly stacked conference in my opinion.
Yeah, certainly some good teams in there. Yo, Daddy, did you want to run us through the changes and some of the teams in Teal Conference?
Yeah, in Teal Conference, we've got another powerhouse, last season's champions, abusing PR management. They're sticking with the APM acronym, going with Arcanist performing miracles. Let's see if they can perform another miracle and win again this season. They've swapped out 3 players, Molestar, Wild9, and Mycurse, for Danker's dad playing his first Hero Series, and then Stinzy and Azalea Okari swapping in from other teams. And then we've got 2 entirely new teams in somewhat hastily improvised team, which is my vote for the best logo of the season. They've got Maxibon, World 8, and Pigpen, 3 very strong players joining Hero for the first time, and then Dr. Bomb and Quaz swapping in from other teams. And then another new team, the Golden Wisps, with Lima and Jespine, completely new players to Hero, and CMAC, MVP, and Anfel swapping in. And then we've got a kind of new team, Ballers and Slaughters Enjoy Dabbing, with Always Just in Time, Based Ink, and G-Kick swapping in. And then Dad Legend is just rolling it back exactly the same as last season.
All right. What we're going to do this week is we're going to look at one team from each of the series and do a bit more of a focus on them, talk about that team, and give them a bit more of a focus. So the team we're looking at this week for Hero Series is Golden Wisps. So Golden Wisps, we've got Lima as Yo Daddy's run through. Lima and Justine are returning to Hero Series this season. Lima's very good, 1 seed. I expect him to do quite well. Jess is probably one of the best 3 seeds around. I know he's done very well on ladder in the past. So I expect him to do very well in the 3. Anfal took a little bit of a break, but him down in the 5 seed should do very well. And I'm surprised to see MPV in the 4. He's usually in the 3. So I think they're going to get a lot of wins down the lower seeds. And the players that they've got at the top as well, with CMAC in the 2, Lima in the 1, they should be able to hold their own and pick up a few wins too. So I'm expecting this team to do quite well. Interestingly enough, CMAC is not on the same team as Nine Eyebrows, and I think I heard it's been about 8 seasons that they've been on the same team. So we'll see how they go. It'll be interesting to see the matchup. Will both those teams make playoffs? Will they meet in the playoffs? How will they go when they face each other? So looking forward to it. Yo Daddy, what did you think about the Golden Wisps?
I think they're a very strong team. They've got a pretty good chance of coming in and taking it all. But interesting to see how Lima and Jespine perform in Hero Series, and hope they do good.
Reverb, did you have anything to add?
No, I have a fairly same sentiment. I'm not too familiar with MPV and Anvil myself, but I think Yo Daddy, you played with them last season, Hero.
Yeah, I was about to mention they were my teammates back at ET. I sadly left that team, but hopefully they carry on the good name and take it home.
If Yo Daddy has faith in them, I have faith in this new team coming through nice and well as well.
All right. For Hero Series, who do you think is going to be the winner of the series? Who do you think is going to take it out? We'll start with you, Reverb.
It's tough. I have a few options. I think Department of League Administration, they look fairly solid to me. They made an eliminator final last season, and they've only made a few changes, but those are fairly solid changes in my opinion. Ridiculous Hat, I think, can play Hearthstone. I just have a feeling, just an inkling. Seen him on a few podcasts. I reckon the guy's played some Hearthstone before, and Dragon Rider is also a very solid addition as well. So I reckon they can do fairly well.
Apart from Dola, who else do you have in your sidebar? Who else do you think can have an impact?
The other two I'm reckoning, I think I trust in the run back. Dad Legend with Yellow Dart. If they made an elimination final and they also decided, hey, same 5 people, let's just do it again, I reckon they could simply improve. They can also do well. And for my dark horse, now this is the spicy take that we mentioned in the intro. Any primers, they've been friends and they've played through the collegiate system. If they could do their success in college and high school, I reckon they can repeat that success in THL. So I would look out for them. They might be the ones to let them cook off of that top spot.
Awesome. Yo Daddy, who's your pick for Hero?
My pick would have to be Let Them Cook. I don't know who let these guys cook, but they came up with a great team. Super Chicken, Neji Boston, and Corridon, 3 incredible players, and Tab as well, and Ricescription, just 5 incredibly solid guys. Just on name power, it has to be those.
Yeah, and who have you got in your
My
sidebar?
sidebar, since we're running with the ETC theme, it would have to be somewhat hastily improvised team, just because Maxibon is incredible at Hearthstone, as is World 8. I think he cracked top 100 just recently. Pigpen as well. There's 3 new players just going to do incredibly well in their first season, I'm pretty sure. And then Dr. Bomb and Quaz have just been here for ages. They know what they're doing. Yeah, between those two teams, pretty confident one of them's going to win.
All right, now for my spicy take, which is not really a spicy take. For the last 4 seasons, an APM team has made the final. So,
Tooting your own horn a
so
bit.
no bias here, but
No bias.
no bias. I'm gonna predict that an APM team is gonna make the final again, and I reckon that'll be Geranium Battle's team for the 4th season in a row. Geranium has been in the final for the last 3 seasons, and he's won the last 2. So I think his team is solid again. Like Molstar, Wild9, and Mike Hurst have been replaced by Stinzy, Dankus Dad in the 3, mind you, and Azalea Akari in 5. That's a really solid team. I think they're going to do well again this season. And who else has made the final in the last 3 seasons? Always Just in Time. It's always Just in Time and Geranium Battle the last 3 seasons. Always Just in Time is in based this season. Ballers and Slatters enjoying dabbing. They're both in TL conference. They both need to finish top 2 to get out of the conference, but I think that they will do that. And I think that they'll be playing off in the final. No surprises. No predictions otherwise. Well, actually, there will be predictions otherwise. In the sidebar, I'm going to pick a couple of teams, I think, from Purple Conference. We've mentioned a couple of teams in there. We've probably picked... Actually, I think we've mentioned nearly every team in there, apart from my team. I'm playing on FTL Black this season. I played on their team, on Rebub's team, the season before last. I think with Seth coming on board, I think he went 6-1 in Legacy last season. Cooper in the 3, myself in the 4. I think we've got a pretty good chance of getting through Purple Conference. As we mentioned, the heavy hitters seem to be in teal this season. Let Them Cook is the other team that I think will be really good. Sorry, Ron. Department of League Administration is just going to have to miss playoffs again this season. But someone's got to miss, so we'll see how it goes. But I think it's going to be a good battle between all of the teams across Hero Series, as it usually is. And as the season goes, we'll just see how it all shakes out. All right. After Hero Series, we're going to look through Legacy Series. So, Legacy Series this coming season, we've lost quite a few teams. We had 15 teams this season across 3 conferences. Last season, it was 18 teams. So, pretty much like Hero Series, it's now 2 of the 5 teams from each conference that are making playoffs rather than 3 of 6 teams. Reverb, do you want to start us off with Gold Conference?
Alrighty, Gold Conference is just like Purple and Hero. I reckon it's looking fairly good. You have a returning semi-final team in Standard THL Degenerates. All they've done, swapped out Pigpen for Electric Sheep City. That's a fairly simple change. Electric Sheep City, they've played a fair bit. They know what they're doing. I think they're going to slot in pretty well. Maybe even make the team a fair bit better. I think their PR shot up, so you never know. Got Justin with Always Just in Time. Now has Always Just in Time playing on it. And it is called Oops All Justin. I don't know if I said that, but Oops All Justin and Hudak. They've swapped out a couple players. Those 2 are coming on along with Infinite, Disagreement, and Skirt Reynolds. Vakula, just running it back. Same old, same old. If it worked last season, it'll work this season. And this is the team I'm excited for. Cancelled Hearthstone season has been dominating in the collegiate series. And they have brought over, Molstar has brought over Water Fury, Guwado, Employee 427, and Crafty Cactus All rookies, never played in THL before, and have formed what I think could be a really, really strong team. And then the final team is with Jerry Damage captaining it. Rock stars of average size, no longer rats, unfortunately. Brought in Chewy, brought in Yaxter, and brought in Bitbreaker. Still have Superhero and Judo Chop.
All right, Yo Daddy, do you want to run us through Silver Conference?
Yeah, Silver Conference looking very strong as well. We've got another completely new team. This one's also from the Collegiate Series. These are all University of Michigan. We've got one rookie, Zgrut. I think I pronounced that right. Lots of Z's in there. Hopefully they do well. And then we've also got Wild Rose captaining the team. He's brought in Nice King, L-Bomb 25, and Ring 13. Yeah, Michigan team. Hopefully they do well. And then we've got Symphony of Clowns, another mostly new team, with Jammies, Rice Cryption, and Joltzy, and Azalea Akari. 4 new players to Legacy, replacing Vino Spumoni, Andy Rogers, Hickett, and Clarity. Can't say too much about these guys, but last season they made the playoffs, so hopefully they get there again and do well. And then from the other 3 teams, not that much change. In F2L White, just Ron Mexico and Jim Philos swapping in for Mayandom and Gimme Lamp. And then Dust Dubs just swapping in Nomad Farmer for Ozumat. And then Defias, just one change, Truth AM for My Curse. Just looking through the names, Silver Conference looks very strong. Only 2 teams get out, so it's going to be tough.
All right, and I'll run through Red Conference, which to me looks a bit like the Group of Death. We've got 4 teams that made playoffs last season, and only 2 of those teams are going to be able to get out of that conference. So the first team is my team, Anoyo Political Manifesto. We've got a couple of changes with Corridon and Cheesy 10 being out. We've got G-Kick coming in the 4, which is good, and I Am Moon's coming across from my hero season, my hero team last season. He's coming into the 3. We've also got season 24 5 versus 5 Legacy Clown contestants, which Neji is now captaining. So they've picked up Neji, Diamond, and Hustle in place of Turtle, Gamer Dude, and Tab. Dad Legend have made one change with Deshamo coming in for Based Inc. E.T. Cthulhu have made 4 changes in addition to Eternal taking over from Trito 2 as captain. Nice Jewish Owl, Jespin, Dragon Rider are all playing Legacy this season, having not played last season. And Righteous Jammies has come in from Vanished Venters. They're replacing Chewy, Trito 2, Probe, and Eternal. Eternal not playing. And the final team is the champion team, Geranium Battles, Clown Stoners. Well, not so much the team. It's Geranium Battle as captain. He's four players have changed out, so he's only kept Canoe with Neji, Molstar, Rice Cryption going to other teams. Kodamora not playing Legacy this season, but he's picked up some good players in Lotus Knight, Based Inc. And Charap, as well as him playing himself in the 3 seed. So quite a few changes to the teams in Red Conference. With Geranium being the championship captain, Dad Legend being runner-up, as well as Season 24 team and ET both having made playoffs last season. It's going to be a really, really strong conference, Red Conference. But the team we're going to look at this week for Legacy is a team in Silver Conference. We're going to look at Symphony of Clowns. So, Symphony of Clowns, we've got, that's Azalea Akari's team. He's playing this season, having been non-playing captain last season. There's been 4 changes to the team that made playoffs last season. Jammies is playing Legacy this season. I think he played Pro last season. He's played quite a bit of closed conference before. Rice Cryption is in the 2, being on the championship team last season. Copa was the MVP last season for Legacy, and Joltzy's coming in having played Hero for APM last season. He's switched back across to Legacy. Yo Daddy, did you want
Yeah. Jammies is an incredibly strong player, almost at max PR. Might even hopefully reach that this season. Rice Krypton and Copa, two players who've been playing THL for a long time. Copa is another wild player. Going into standard, he's done incredibly well. Don't know too much about the last two players. Don't want to be rude. But yeah, this seems like an incredibly strong team, and they're in a slightly easier conference compared to the Red Conference, so I would not be surprised if these were in the finals.
Reverb, did you want
Reverb?
to jump something in there?
Yeah, similar kind of sentiment. Thankfully, not in the group of death. That group looks that the conference looks like a bloodbath over in red, but still, I think a strong contender to get out of as the one seed in this conference. Jolt C, I've seen the name around, played fair bit of Hearthstone. Copper, please don't ban this man Shaman. Please let them play Shaman. Please. Riceception, fantastic addition. You really can't go wrong if you are adding someone who won last season onto your list. Should go fairly well, and I expect them to be the one seed out of Silver.
All right. Um, let's make some predictions. Reverb, I'll get you to go first this time. Who's your team that's going to win Legacy this season?
My prediction, I kind of hinted at it in my review of Gold Conference. I am a cancelled Hearthstone believer. Molstar comes from the championship team, brings in his collegiate friends. It's a recipe for success. I'm fully backing them. If you are making THL bets, which I don't know if you should be, but if you are, put your money on this team. And if you lose, I didn't say anything. But these guys, they've got the stuff. I reckon they can do it.
All right. Who do you have in your sidebar? Who are your other teams that you think are going to do
My
well?
I got a couple of other teams. I'm backing the Sympathy of Clowns as well, because I think they come out of that conference fairly strong. They might be playing against my favorite team, cancelled Hearthstone season. And then for a last team, I glanced over at Red. This was a difficult decision, but I decided to pick a team that might make it out of the group of death. Even though in theory all of these teams can just not make it out, I decided to pick one anyway to be a little spicy. I'm picking 5v5 Legacy Clown contestants to make it out. Brought on a champion from last season, Neji Boston. Brought in Diamond, who has just been around the league, plays a bunch. Brought in Hustle. I reckon they will be able to scrape their way out of that conference, and hopefully getting out of that conference pushes you to at least make the final. So I reckon that's my other pick to make it.
All right, Yo Daddy, who have you got as your championship team for Legacy this season?
I'm going to be boring and just pick the returning champions. I know they've had a lot of changes, but Albatrosses play mistakes. I wouldn't say they've upgraded their players, but it's still an incredibly strong team, and they know what they're doing, and I would not be surprised to see them in the finals again. For my bit spicier picks, got to stick with my boys at ET. They brought in nice Duracell, who has been around THL for a long, long time. Jess Bean and Dragon Rag are two incredibly strong players. Righteous Jammy there in the five. They are making it out of the group of death. I am believing in them.
All right. I'm probably going to stay clear of the group of death. It's the one that I'm in, and there's a lot of really good teams there. But I'm with Reverb. I think Molstar's team looking really good. Cancelled Hearthstone season. A lot of these guys are unknown factors to a lot of people, but I think that they're going to be really solid all the way down to the five. So Molstar's probably going to win a load of games in the one. Their four and five are probably going to win a load of games just because they're really good. And if they're not, they might win some games in the two and three as well. But I just think they're going to be really strong from top to bottom. So they're my pick for the championship and probably to be top seed in gold. Other than that, I think F2L White are looking good this season. They've got Ron Mexico's joined, who was a crossover champion last season. He's coming in the two, which means the two-star Marco's now in the three. And yeah, Jim Floss in the 5. He always goes like even on a season or goes positive. So I think F12 White are looking good for silver. And I'll throw a spicy pick in there. I think another team to watch in silver is the Stubs. I think it's the Stubs is it's they're always there on the edge of playoffs, or will they make it? Won't they make it? They've picked up Nomad Farmer. He's played on my teams in the past. He's a really good underrated player. Um, does a lot of prep. I'd like to see him have a good season, and I think the Stubs in silver could be a sneaky for a playoff spot. All right, we can now move on to Pro Series. All right, so Pro Series, we've had quite a bit of change. Last season we had 16 teams in Pro, and we are now down to 12. No, 10 teams. Sorry, 10 teams for season 12. So we've lost 6 teams from last season. Being a 10-team season, we're going to have 4 teams in playoffs, which is a big drop from 8 teams in playoffs last season. 4 of the teams that we have lost were playoff teams. So the other 4 playoff teams are still playing this season. So, and 3 of those happen to be one conference, which will get Reverb to go through. Do you want to run through Black Conference?
Yes, the Conference of Champions, as we're now dubbing it. Fairly solid. They've got a lot of good talent coming back. Mainly returning champions, F2L. Pretty much the same here, but they've swapped out Dabs and Diamond, brought in Chewy, and Based Inc. is now going to be playing pro this season. Fairly strong team there, but their contenders look just as strong. Brushy Tuna, they're just running it back. They decided they got to semis, they're just going to run it back. Works. Frog Champs, the resurrection this time. They've resurrected their team by unfortunately getting rid of Dragon Ninja, but they've got in G Kick, who will hopefully be able to fly like a G6. That's the best joke I've ever made. APM return with another team, Axe playing Metalheads, perfect for the current expansion. Masha is on this team, hopefully going to do well with Corridon, who have come in for Geranium and Wi-Fi. And the final team is a new one, somewhat taken some players from some other teams. Rocket propelled Glug Girl have Yo Daddy, Lazan, Gimme Lamp, and have brought in playing this series for the first time, Waluigi and Nops.
Okay, Yo Daddy, did you want to run us through Pink Conference?
Yeah, not too much change in Pink Conference. Cheesemongers United just running it back, hoping that this time they can make playoffs. Chicken is down just in time to clown. They were the runners up last season. They've got one change, and they've changed their name, possibly ripping off another season. Up to you guys to decide. But F3L, their original name. They're swapping in Dankus Dead for Lambie series. Maybe this time it will go their way and they can win in the final. Swagboy, just one change, changing in Mini for Doc McButt. And then opportunistic pro players with the biggest change in this conference, swapping in 3 players. World 8, Tito Santana and Heatshock for King Viking, Mr. Python and Who. World 8, I think, is a very strong player. He did pretty well in the Coin Concede series recently. Heatshock, yep, he definitely knows how to play Hearthstone. Don't know too much about Tito Santana, but I think this is their first time playing pro, and he's hoping they go well. Zymox and Chill, swapping out 2 players. Jaspine, who I think is playing like every series this season. I've heard his name a lot going around. And then Direst Bear for Epic Mingo and Skittles. Yeah, these last 2 teams didn't make any playoffs last season, so he's hoping that they perform a bit better this season and give the other teams a bit of a fight.
All right, so for Pro Series, the team we're going to look at this week is Opportunistic Pro Players, who are in the Pink Conference. Yeah, so captained by Dr. BOMD. As Yodadi just mentioned, they've made 3 changes from their team last season. King Viking, Mr. 23, Mr. Python, and Who make way for Heat Shock coming in from Shadape, Punish Shadape. World 8 is new to THL Pro, and he is around about top 100 on ladder. And Tito Santana, you might recognize from a podcast or two. He's coming in as well to join the team. I think these are really good changes for OPP. I know they didn't have the best season last season, but when you bring in someone of the caliber of Heat Shock, who was captain of Shadape last season, has won a championship before, took his team to the top of their conference last season, and then you bring in someone like World 8 who's grinded to top 100. That's going to have a big impact on the team, and hopefully that can help out with a lot of prep and sort of bring the other players up a bit. And I think they're going to do quite well in that conference. And they're a potential playoff team. Yodaddy, did you have anything you wanted to say about you down with OPP?
I think you covered it really well. Pigpen I've played him quite a bit over the past couple of years. I think he's beaten me a couple times. He knows his stuff. Saku, same. He's hoping that Tito Santana has an incredible rookie season and takes this team all the way. Reverb, do you have anything to add?
No, fairly same. I'm a fresh blood backer myself. If you're bringing in 2 rookies and you are bringing in someone with the caliber as Heat Shock, that's going to be pretty well. Seeing some hype in the chat, Heat Shock. Heat Shock's got the stuff. Heat Shock can well and truly take this team to the playoffs.
All right, speaking about playoffs, Yodaddy, I'll throw to you first this time. Who's your pick for the winner of Pro?
I am completely unbiased in this prediction, but Rocket Propelled Blood Girl going all the way. No, but seriously, Waluigi Time won MVP in Wild last season. He was undefeated. He's an incredible player. And then Nops and Lasagna, 2 other incredible Wild players making the switch to Standard, as well as Gimme Lamp, who's done an incredible job organising us Degens into a team. I truly think we can at least make finals. But if I'm being a bit more serious, I would have to pick Brushy Tuna, McBannerface. You know him, he's incredible. Won Mexico and Ridiculous Hat, played probably more Hearthstone than anyone else in the world. Pocket Train, another GM, and then Lotus Knight just rounding it out. Just going off names, they're just the most powerful team in this tournament.
All right, Reverb, who's your pick?
I'm gonna give it to F2L, I reckon. I think they were champions last time. They've made good changes. I think they've got a fairly solid chance of making it out of the Black Conference and getting in the finals. But, and I'll give it to your daddy, I also think the Rocket Propelled Glug Girl can make it out as well, and I think they might be vying for F2L's spot. But over in the Pink Conference, I'm also going to back the ones we focused on earlier, opportunistic pro players. They've only got the runner-ups from last season in their conference, and Lambie is out of that team, so I think they can go pretty far with Heat Shock and their new recruits as well.
All right, my predictions. I think this season I've got Brushy Tuna as the team to beat. I know that they are always thereabout. They're always up the top of the conference or runner up. They finished. I think they it made semifinals last season. I think this could be their season. I'm gonna put my pick on Brushy Tuna. If I'm gonna pick 2 other teams in Pink Conference, I'd like to see Swagoi do well. They're another team that's been in or near playoffs quite a bit. I think I think Pink Conference is quite open this season, and I think Swagoi are a team that, with the lineup that they've got, could be a team that can sneak into playoffs. And once you're there, there's only 4 teams, so you only have to win twice, and you could have a boat. So, and one final team. I don't think I've picked one of my own teams yet, so I'm just going to say Axe playing Metalheads. We're probably underrated. We're sort of a combination of the both APM teams last season, with myself and Corridon joining Vino, Starlax, and KSW. If we don't make playoffs, we're certainly going to have a lot of fun getting there. So we'll see how we go against some of the more powerhouse teams, especially that rocket-propelled Glug Girl team that has been thrown together this season. Alrighty, now we've finished up with Hero Legacy and Pro, we can throw to Wild Series. Alright, so Wild Series, we have got...
Wild and Outback.
Yeah, Wild and Outback.
You, the backyard banjo. We are all in our natural habitat now.
Crikey. So for Wild this season, we've got 10 teams down to 7. So not as many teams this season, but we still have 4 teams making playoffs from that 7, as opposed to 4 from 10 last season. So unlike the other series where less than half of the teams are making playoffs, there are more than half of the teams making playoffs in Wild. The 3 teams not returning for Wild from last season, we've lost XD. They won't be returning. We've also lost the second F2L team, F2L Celadon, and Annie Hates Wild is not returning this season. But the other 7 teams are all returning teams. I'll run through them quickly. We've got Wild THL Fanatics running the same team back player for player, captained by Dr. BOMD. Copa's bringing back World Shakers with only one change. Dankus Dad is coming in for Gumby. F12 Viridian have lost Corbett. Corbett's not returning this season, so they've slotted back in the Rotted Zombie from seasons past. He's come across from F2L Celadon. The runners-up from last season, Sourdough Shakers, are now the Shaker Symphony. They've picked up Waluigi Time across from APM in for EPT Hopper. APM, my team, we've got Maxi returning to our team from Worgen Greasers, replacing Waluigi Time. And we've got Rib Bobson in an APM shirt for the first time, replacing both myself and Yodaddy, Yodaddy replaced me, and now Rib Bobson's replacing both of us. The last 2 teams are Worgen Greasers, now captained by Hudak. They've got 2 new players in Egads and Uriel, replacing Maxibon and Cowtipper. And the last team, which is the team we're going to focus on this week, is second APM team. Gimme Lamp has sacked his whole team, himself, Jules, Reverb, Nabinator, and Judo Chop all out, and he's brought in 4 players that didn't play last season. The Unburnt, M Likes Blue, Lowbrow, and Zach, who also goes by Hyperion, as well as Pasca, coming in from Andy Hates Wild. Seeing that you were on Lamp's team last season, Reverb, did you want to talk about this team?
I did play with Lamp. Now, I promise, we were definitely not the problem, and that is not why he got rid of us. We just didn't want to play Wild anymore. But the people he has brought in are all fairly good players, I would reckon. Lowbrow has played a lot of Wild. Zach, who is Hyperin, has played a lot of Wild. Pasca has played a lot of Wild. Them with the new recruits, it looks fairly solid. And Lamp, if you are struggling for a deck, which I often do because I'm really lazy and not good at finding decks, I will shoot Lamp a message and say, Lamp, give me a deck, and it might take 10 minutes and some bargaining, but I will eventually get a deck, and it will more than likely do well. So that team does look set to do well in this conference or this series.
Daddy, did you have anything to add about this team?
I'd just like to shout out Hyperion. He's one of my oldest Hearthstone friends. I helped get him into THL, and yep, he's now going as Zach, and wish him all the best this season. I know Gimme Lamp, and I trust him in picking these players. The Unburnt and Mike Blue, two very high quality players. Pasca, he's literally a GM. Yeah, this team looks very good, and I wish them all the best.
Alrighty. For the title, who do we think is going to take the wild title this season? I'll start with you, Yodaddy.
For Wild, I would have to go. This is actually a tough one, but I'm going APM. I'm supporting you, Bone Masher. I know that you're not playing this season, but Rebobson and Maxibon, two great players, running it back from the semi-finalists. They're going all the way.
And
Um,
who else do you have as a spicy pick as a other potential playoff team?
Wild THL Fanatics, I would have to go for Labore, Pigpen, Dr. Bomb, been around the block a couple times. Smoopy Daddy, always great with his meme decks, and King Copernicus. They're going to turn the heat on, make their spicy decks work, and yep, feeling them at least making the semifinals.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure Wild THL Fanatics when the series first started, when it was like teams of 3, Wild THL Fanatics were a team, and they have just come back every single season.
Yeah, I know Dr. BMD's been like you've got the wild THL Fanatics, and then you've got the standard THL Degenerates. So yeah, both those teams have been around for quite some time.
It's their season.
It's their season. Are you picking them as the team to take the title this season, Reverb?
Now, I may say it's their season, but they're more so a spicy pick for me. The one I think will actually do it. I think the runners-up from last season, Shaker Symphony, they are in the top spot. Corbett from F2L is, in my opinion, it's a huge loss. The Rotted Zombie is an incredibly good player, but I don't know if he makes up for the loss that is Corbett. So I think, even though they did lose Eptopper, I think that the Shaker Symphony will be able to capitalize and get the win, I reckon.
All right. I'd have to agree with you. I think Shaker Symphony has to start favourites this season. Lothos, Seth, and Waluigi Time all went undefeated in the regular season last season. So with those guys along with Tiger Eye and Rena Jackson, I think, and the loss of Corbett from F2L, I think they have to start favourite. I'm hoping my team can make it as well. But the team I'm going to throw out there is the other APM team. I think with the Unburnt, Mlux Blue, Lowbrow, Zach, Pasca, I think they can get some wins this season. And being pretty much the only new team this season, I think they could do quite well and hopefully make playoffs. All right, so we've covered off all of the series. We've covered off all of the conferences. Before we go, we've got one final checkout question. Okay, so apart from Druid, which we all know is broken, what decks do you expect to see in Wild this week? Yodaddy, we'll start with you.
I know what I hope to see in Wild is everybody bringing Garrote Rogue. It's the exact same deck we all loved from a bit over a year ago from Standard, but now it's even more broken. We've got the new weapon, which just gives you infinite mana around turn 6. You've still got Octobot. Sadly, it didn't get reverted, but it's still pretty good. You've got Field Contact. You've got all your 1 mana combo cards and you just draw through the entire deck, and then you deal 1 billion damage, and you feel like the smartest person in the world. And then you don't draw field contact, and then you cry. But those games
That would
don't
never
matter.
happen. That
All
that
that
would never
matters
happen. You
is
always
when you're
draw
a
field
genius.
contact.
Yeah, and hope that at least some people will play that on stream in Wild THL, so we can all relive the glory days of Garrote Rogue. Yeah.
Nice. All right. What do you think is going to be good reverb? What do you think is going to be played?
I'm the opposite of your daddy. That work, it's all about being a genius. I am all about being the most awful person you possibly can. If you are familiar with Prison Quest Mage, may I say you could just leave before you cry. Grandmaster Magister Romath is an awful card, and this guy is just here to replay himself with Potion of Illusion starting in your ETC and the quest, and you are going to be locked in a game for about 40 minutes as he slowly hits you in the face over and over again for an infinite amount of turns. You can have as much mana as you like, but as long as I hit the end turn button and it becomes my turn again, that's all that matters.
You are an evil,
I queued into this
evil
once,
person.
and I haven't opened Wild in a week.
Exactly. Everyone bring this deck.
All right. Well, we've certainly got a couple of good decks there. The deck that I think I've seen a little bit of played. Definitely saw it on Twitter. I think maybe some of the teams, especially the teams that like to bring off meta decks, I really expect this to be brought by at least 3 players this week. That deck is a hunter deck. It's not Beast Hunter. It is OTK Hunter with Rivendare and Zul'jin. If you do know the deck, if you don't know the deck, well,
And Bone Lord, just to make it even more janky.
most of you probably don't know the deck. So the way the deck works is you use Flux, Boomzooka, 7-mana spell to kill Revendare, War Rider, and Bone Lord Frost Whisper, which will be in your deck because, of course, you will play the 1-mana weapon on 1. I just got a cough. So that they come out of your deck, they die. Next turn, play a 0-mana Zul'jin to recast Boomzooka, kill the 3 horsemen, win the game. Easy as that. So I'm hoping to see that brought this week. I'm going to be recommending it to my team. Oh wait, we've got the bye. Unlucky. Maybe I'll recommend it to my team next week. But yeah, I'm expecting to see some meme decks. I always like to see some meme decks. Will this be brought? Will this win games? Maybe it'll cop a ban. I don't know. But yeah, the way the Wild is at the moment with Druid being the way it is with the weapon shooter, it kind of makes it a 3v3 unless some teams have come up with a strategy to how to beat Druid. Anyone in chat?
If they know how to beat Druid, please let us know. We want to play Wild without dying to Druid.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, Reverb, did you have any final comments?
Shout out to Geranium for being possibly the only person that remembers Zul'jin's voice line in chat. That's amazing. I had to look up and double check that was actually his voice line. I have not played that card in almost 3 years. That's incredible. Um, Other than that, series are looking good. Conferences are mostly looking stacked, and I'm excited for THL coming back this week.
Yo Daddy, any last comments?
I'm extremely hyped for this season of THL. I wish all the teams the best, and yeah, let's have some fun. And let's please hope that Twig Sphere gets banned so we can all play Wild again.
Everyone spam it on Twitter. Hashtag nerf twig.
Yeah, indeed. All right. So, and myself, I'd like to wish all the teams best of luck for the coming THL season. Hope you have an enjoyable season with your teams. If you want to have your match streamed, we have match shows available on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. You can go to the THL Discord, to the Stream Match Request channel. Next week we'll be back same time on Tuesday, and Hearth Center will return with Lotus Knight on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss out on that. And we will see you all again next week for another episode of Sidebar. Thanks for coming in and watching. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Enjoy Wild. Nerf twig.